G'day class. So for the next lesson we're looking at investigating symbolism. So if we think of symbols that we're going to find in books, you might find dragons, unicorns, magic wands, castles, wizards, fairies, maybe dark forest. So when we look at all those type of things that you'll find in a fantasy book, they may be an object, they may be a character or a setting, but they're viewed as symbols. So the teaching point for today, fantasy readers keep an eye out for repeated or highlighted images, objects or characters or settings. So when fantasy readers see these things, they pause and ask themselves, could this be a symbol of something else? And how does this symbol connect to the possible theme of this story? So, like many cool things in fantasy, there are going to be certain elements that go from story to story. Symbols are going to be one of those things that found across a lot of fantasy series. But a lot of symbols have the exact same meaning. So, when you see a crown, you know it's probably going to be a symbol of power or royalty. Certain things you already expect to be a symbol because you've seen them being used that way before in other stories. So if you think of a dove, it obviously symbolizes peace. Or a dark forest could be the unknown. So if we think about a dragon, it's not always bad. It depends on the culture and depends on the context. So, for instance, in one story, if there's rain, it could represent sadness. But in another story where there's a drought going on and it rains, that could represent hope or a new life. So if we look at this painting here, it's full of symbols or symbolism. So you'll notice the castle, which generally symbolizes power. And then you'll see there's a man in his fancy clothes on a white horse. So really he would symbolize being a hero or a knight. White horses are generally a symbol of goodness. Over his shoulder you'll see a lady wearing a crown. It's a bit hard to see, but the crown also symbolizes power. Down on the bottom left you've got that dragon, but it's a dark dragon. So that could symbolize danger or something bad. So really the way I can kind of interpret is the white horse is the light and the knight is good, and then the dark dragon is evil or bad, a symbol of that. So looking across the symbols, I see a hero who has slain the dragon. The hero is light and is good, and the dragon is in darkness, represents evil. So somehow the hero is protecting not only the woman but also the power that she holds. So if we look at the castle, it kind of backs up that idea. So it's like a hero is protecting his whole nation in a way. So really this is just a painting, but in your book you're going to get the same type of thing. So these symbols will represent something else, so maybe a theme that is running alongside your book. So what I did to look at this painting or to interpret it was I looked at all the individual elements and then I put them together to create the theme, which would be good versus evil. So that's what you've got to do in your book. Look at all the small things, the things that will keep coming back, and realizing the importance of those, and can you relate those and do they fit into a theme. So this is today's task, investigating symbolism. Find possible symbols, images, objects, characters and settings. And I talked about the teaching point earlier, so I just want to go over this chart, and I'll have this, you'll be able to read this on Seesaw or Notability. So fantasy readers can use symbols as a way to interpret themes. So while reading, be prepared to find symbols. Symbols might be images, objects, characters, or settings. They are repeatedly mentioned or highlighted. Consider what each symbol might represent or mean. Lay those symbols and their meanings side by side and consider how they may fit together. And while pondering the relationship between the symbols, think about the themes. So what your task is to find symbols in your book, and I want you to fill out this table, which I've already done using the Thief of Always. So what are some of the symbols in your story? So you've got to find some different symbols, but then how do they relate to the theme of the book? So in The Thief of Always, the Ark was a toy that was one of the presents that was given back to Harvey that he had originally had when he was a little kid and he had lost it. But then we think, Lulu actually came up and gave him a couple of the pieces from the Ark. So it's like, okay, what's the symbol of the Ark? It's come back, and it will come back again in a couple of chapters' time. But what's the importance of that? So the symbol could be, it represents new life or a mission of survival. If we think of Noah's Ark, the original story, what that meant. So that's maybe one of the symbols and how it relates to the theme of the book, because there's several themes in this book. The presents. So the kids get presents every night, but what does that really mean? What are those presents a symbol of? So really, I thought, well, they're being superficial or fake. So they look good on the surface, but they've got no substance. What do they do with all these presents they're getting? They're just sitting around. So they're not really using them or utilizing them. So it's a bit of a, the theme is something being superficial or fake, just like people. But then it could be the house is fake and everything that is going on within it. But the symbol was the presents that the kids were getting. That's what I got from that. Then we look at Hood's house. It's a symbol of pure evil. It is bad, everything going on inside that house. We know that he is stealing time from the children, and you know that some of the kids he's turning into fish and putting into the lake, and they're all like the lost souls of children swimming around. So everything to do with Hood's house is actually, it may look good or whatever, but when you look deep down, it's kind of pure evil. It is badness. That is the theme. So there's just a couple of symbols and then how I've related to themes in the book. So that is your task, to fill out this table from your story. And thank you.